Hailing frequencies open and welcome aboard Treks and Tangents. I'm your co-host Brian.
And I'm your co-host Jackie. I'm the Star Trek newbie who treks off on tangents.
And I'm your Star Trek expert who is here to get the tangents back on track. Each episode we watch and talk about a different Star Trek episode, and this week we watched
Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 15, The Trouble with Tribbles.
Welcome back, everyone.
Yay.
Paramount episode about our unofficial adopted mascot for the podcast.
Yay.
So many episodes where we had references to it and never quite got to it. But again, real quick, just as a reminder, stick around to the end of the episode to find out what our bonus Star Note episode topic will be. Little bonus episode posted to our Patreon, patreon.com/Treks and Tangents. Jackie, was the episode everything that you hoped for?
I didn't know what to expect, and so I kind of wanted more Tribbles to be like more in my face, but I understand because that's not very scientific.
Okay, well, on that subject of not knowing what to expect, let's quickly jump back to the Turbo Lift tease from last week. That's where we asked Jackie to guess the plot of the episode based only on the title of the episode with no other context. So, computer, what was Jackie's prediction last week?
Jackie's prediction last week was, we are going to finally meet Tribbles. And since you talk so lovely about them, they're going to be all over. And then, sadly, they are going to be so much of them. We are going to have to calm the millions of them down, and so we have to cull the sad ones. But otherwise, they are going to be so cute and cuddly, and we are going to find homes for them.
So, Jackie, how accurate do you think your prediction was?
A-.
It's not that hard. Everyone, I think, kind of knows what if you have any slight knowledge about Star Trek, you know Tribbles, you know the fact that they have the ability to multiply exponentially.
I did not know that.
You didn't know that they could do that?
No, I just saw that they were cute and cuddly.
And that was it.
And then it went...
Okay. You also didn't touch on any of the other plot points of the episode, but that's okay. They almost take a back seat.
Yes. I mean, I didn't really mind the other stuff. All about the Tribbles.
Okay, so why don't you give us your first impressions? What did you think? Now that you have seen the episode, what are your thoughts?
I found it really interesting, and I still question the Klingons. How they look not like what I know a Klingon to look like.
Right.
So as the episodes and seasons go, do they gradually change the look? Or is it going to go from scraggly, dirty face to Worf?
So as far as television series go, yes, it is going to be a very drastic, abrupt change from what we see in the original series to, yes, your next Klingon that you will encounter in a television series is going to be Worf immediately in the Next Generation.
Is there a reason they changed so dramatically?
Yes, they eventually fix the lore. I was thinking of the television series, but in release order of just franchise projects, the motion picture comes out before the Next Generation, and the Klingons play a heavy role in the motion picture, Star Trek 1. Mm-hmm. And the Klingons look drastically different than they do in the original series, and in line with what we see with the Next Generation with Worf.
Okay.
It is not in this same time frame that they offer any explanation, but eventually Star Trek will fix the lore and they will explain it as the Klingons that we see in the original series, and we've talked about it a little bit. There was a genetic mutation virus that was introduced to the Klingons, and part of that involved basically mutated, malformed facial features so that they look like they are in the original series. So basically, and it was widespread, and it eventually is worked out of the Klingon population so that they go back to looking like they do in the Next Generation. So the official Star Trek lore is all of the Klingons that we see in the original series are one, at most two generations removed in the middle of this introduction of this mutation genetic virus that is causing them all to look the way that they do.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. So that gets cured. It's an interesting episode how it's structured. It's one of the episodes that is whimsical.
Yes.
And it's the dialogue, particularly as I was watching it this time, there's a lot of, obviously scripted, it's dialogue, but there's a lot of back and forth in the dialogue. There's a lot of the gag of repeating what someone else says as a way to be sassy.
Yes, there's a lot of attitude here.
And have attitude, but it works and it doesn't come across as cheesy.
No.
So I really liked the way the dialogue is set up. The plot itself of the little subplot of the wheat and the colony and the Klingons and all of that, that is kind of the background of the Tribbles.
Yes.
To tie it together. I really like how the two of them come together at the end. That's kind of fun. And in multiple ways. The Tribbles, I think that's why it works so well for me in my mind, is the Tribbles serve more than just comic relief for the episode. They have a vital plot point to discover the sabotage of the wheat.
Yes.
They have a vital plot point to expose the Klingon double agent.
Yes.
And so I kind of like that, because otherwise, if they discovered the wheat had been poisoned a different way, because I don't know, it accidentally kills the guard that's guarding it.
Right.
And if the double agent was exposed in a different way, and the Tribbles just happened to be there as kind of this running comedic gag, I don't think it would have worked so well. So,
and I mean, the Tribbles, they're like a main character at the end.
Yes. And I think ultimately another thing that makes this so strong, I have no facts to back this up, this is just observation. This seems to be, up to this point, the most heavily remastered episode when it comes to the addition of CGI, the addition of the extra scenes, the touching up. There's lots of shots of the exterior space station that are CGI remastered. There are times where you are on the bridge of the Enterprise having a conversation with someone else on the view screen, and you can see the Enterprise orbiting behind the person talking, which is, I think, adds to a level of depth to the whole thing.
Yes.
So I think that's part of why the episode continues to resonate so much with newer audiences, because they're usually watching the remastered version like we are doing.
Yes.
So the addition of the CGI, how all the plot points come together, the dialogue, the characters, I think it just works out so well. There's very few criticisms that I have for the episode.
Oh, that's something new.
Yes. This is one of the few times that I will agree that this is one of the Paramount episodes. If you go top 10 episodes of the original series, this is one of them.
I agree. But see, they open up with whimsy and comical. So if they made it so serious and then added the Tribbles, I don't think it would work either.
No, it has to keep that whimsical goofiness from the beginning all the way to the end. I don't think this episode would have worked if, as an example, the turning point of the episode where they discover the wheat has been poisoned.
Yes.
That scene, all the Tribbles fall out. And it continues to be a comedic moment, even though this is a very serious thing. I mean, if you look at it, the wheat's been poisoned. Hundreds of, if not thousands of people could have died on this colony, because we never find out how many are on it, that the wheat is supposed to sustain. You've got dead Tribbles, one of the saddest things you can have.
Yes.
But it still is a very comedic scene.
Yes, especially when it falls on his head.
We'll get to that. There's no moment where this episode takes a dark turn. And I think that there are some Star Trek episodes where that could work. I don't think this is it, and I'm glad that they didn't go down that route.
Me too.
Well, let's not delay anymore, because I think we'll have lots to talk about as we progress. Jackie, why don't you walk us through the episode?
So like I said, how they started with the whimsy. Kirk, Spock, and Chekhov are in the briefing room, And Spock has just relayed that they're on their way to this deep space station, K7, because they're helping with a special assignment regarding this planet called Sherman's Planet. And they're also, it's kind of like Chekhov's review time. And they're asking him his history, and he knows it, but not all of it. And
Yeah.
so it's
this is going to be the weakest part of the episode for me. And glad that they get it out of the way at the beginning. Glad that we don't have the weakest part of the episode in the middle of the episode. It's an effective way to communicate all this information to us, the viewers.
yes.
About the background of the space station, the conflict with the Klingon Empire, all of that, setting it up. How they do it with the little review of Chekhov, like a performance review, is
Yes.
exactly kind of what it feels like, crossed with just hey, this is a learning opportunity for you. We already know the answers. We're seeing if you know the answers.
Right.
Just to have this dialogue, kind of weird.
And he makes a really weird joke about you can smell the Klingons. And I totally understand Chekhov, because he tried to make a joke and it fell so flat. And that's like my life.
And forced. I mean, from a
Yes.
show perspective for the dialogue.
Ah, yes.
It's almost like it. We mentioned that this has to have the goofiness theme running throughout the whole thing. And this almost feels like, okay, we recognize it needs to be goofy from the beginning. Let's make it goofy. But then the very first step we take is a stumble.
Yes.
It's just weird and awkward. But in any case, for the lore of all of it, again, there was conflict with the Klingon Empire.
23 years ago.
There was a big battle 23 years ago in this sector. And there's been this peace treaty. They call it a peace treaty. It's really just a blown up ceasefire, pun intended.
It seems
Agreement.
like a fight to who can feed the people best, the quickest.
Yeah, so ultimately the Klingon Empire and the Federation at this point have agreed to not escalate hostilities, but they very much are still hostile. And we've seen that in previous episodes.
Yes.
Where whoever, you are not to take the first shot, but no one's going to blame anyone if you can find a reason to start hostilities with the other side. Sherman's planet is still claimed by both sides. It's right on the border. And the agreement is whichever side can demonstrate that they can create an outpost on this planet that is self-sustaining, then the other side will then agree to relinquish their claim on the planet. So basically, an outpost race, who can create an outpost the quickest. I'll leave it up to you, listeners, to decide if either side will actually agree to those terms.
I envision like the planet in the middle and a hand from each side, like holding it.
Yeah, pretty much. And of note, it seems like the Federation is winning this race. I don't know if there's a Klingon outpost on this planet or not. It doesn't talk about it. All it talks about is a Federation outpost. And it would seem like that is the upper hand that the Federation has, but not enough to try to force the Klingons into a corner and acknowledge the terms of the treaty to say, we've met our terms, we have our outpost, give up your claim and leave the planet alone. But in any case, the opening ends with calling for red alert. I think it's Uhura who calls down.
Yes.
To say that they're receiving a priority 1 distress signal from that deep space station.
Yes.
And Kirk issues that they plot a course and get there as quick as possible. Again, this is indicating that they're under imminent attack from the Klingons, or they are under attack by something. Get there as quick as possible. And then we have our opening credits that Jaci loves oh so much with the singing.
I could do without her.
Yeah.
But that's okay. So with this code 1 distress call, we all are, racing there to this outpost to help them. But when Enterprise arrives, ready for battle, everyone's at their stations. There's like happiness and joy, or, nothing's happening. And they're trying to they contact the station manager, Lurie, and he is having a hard time explaining why he called for such help, and he's really sorry, but maybe you could beam down and you can see for yourself.
Yeah, because ultimately they're going to beam onto the space station and we're going to meet Nils.
That's how Nils Barris.
Yeah, and then his aide Arnie. So Nils and Arnie. Nils is going to be a Federation undersecretary. He's basically a high-ranking Federation paper pusher.
Okay.
And it's his responsibility, it is his job to get the outpost on Sherman's planet developed to get to that level, to get the Klingons to leave it alone, like we talked about. Arnie is just his little butt-kissing assistant. And when they get to the space station and they beam on board and we meet the two of them, we find out there is no emergency, of course. It is just Nils using his authority to send this distress signal because he wants the Enterprise to play bodyguard, because his plan is to get this special wheat down to Sherman's planet to get the outpost developed. And he goes, well, we're close to the Klingons and we're going to use you as security, even though we have no reason to suspect anything. Get over here. And that's why he abused the priority 1 signal.
And when Kirk finds out about this, and the wheat is in a gold bag, just so everyone knows, it's very special.
The sample of wheat that they were showing them.
And, well, we also learned that this wheat is the only plant life that grows on the planet. So, yes, it's very important. I would agree, from an agricultural standpoint. But he did abuse his power. And I think that's what Kirk is most upset about.
Yes, Kirk does not like to... One, I think secondary, he doesn't like to see the abuse of the Signal 1 regardless. But
Right.
Two, very much in the first interaction between the two of them, Nils is very much putting Kirk in his place by saying, I outrank you. You have to do what I tell you. This project is so important. I can abuse the Signal 1 emergency signal to get you here. And Kirk is very much like, I'm not your lapdog. You're not my boss. I don't have to answer to you. We find out very soon that's not true, but...
So he does agree, though, to send 2 security guards to guard the suite that's held in giant compartments. We don't know where the compartments are just yet, but 2 guards. And then Kirk is like, I've never questioned the Starfleet command ever and what they do, except for this point. And then he just barges out.
Right. And this whole scene is the first example of this doublespeak that I mentioned at the beginning.
Yes.
Where Kirk is intentionally repeating what Nils says as a way to get under his skin, to show a little bit of defiance and attitude toward
you're talking
Nils.
About wheat.
Yes. And again, it works.
Yes.
I think it's fantastically written dialogue. I think that the flow and everything, I kept waiting for just some moment where it stumbles, some moment that it pulls me out of it. Any little dialogue line where I go, ooh, I probably would have cut that word or whatever. None of it ever gets tripped up. It's perfect. It's flawless.
I wonder how many times they had a blooper reel on how to say the name of this wheat.
Yeah. Hey, so let's continue our tradition, Jackie. How do you pronounce the wheat before we move away from this scene?
Quadro.
I'm not cutting any of this out.
Quadro Triticale.
Okay, we'll go with that.
And Chekhov says it the best, in my opinion.
With his accent.
Yes, it's perfect. He's like, oh, duh, I already know about this wheat. Why are we guarding it?
Yeah. Again, very sure of himself. I like Chekhov as a character, but sometimes...
He's a little too...
youthful arrogance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes he's he's too full of himself and too confident when he should take moments where he just kind of should shut up. And maybe that's the point. Maybe we're supposed to feel that way for the character.
But we like him. That's the point.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to...
And also, while they're guarding the wheat, Enterprise is on shore leave.
Yeah. They're going to take time off.
So Uhura and as we just said, Chekhov comes down and they're going to like the bar area. And that's where they talk about the wheat. And so while Uhura is in the bar area and she's shopping, we see this man, Cyrano Jones, who's like a dealer of whatever. He
Yeah.
has so many pockets in his jacket.
Cyrano Jones.
Oh, see, I don't know. I was going with the color blue. That's never mind. So he's talking to the bartender to like have the bartender purchase from him, but he's already purchased whatever he's selling, like these special stones.
Yeah, basically, I've already bought all these. The bartender saying, I haven't sold them all. I have enough. I don't want to buy anymore. Again, Cyrano Jones is just kind of this guy who goes around selling these oddities that he finds or comes across at a profit. And the bartender is running his own little, I assume, business. They're in deep space. They probably are encountering lots of different alien cultures and creatures. And so trying to make an extra buck, even though it's a Starfleet space station. So why are we making money? Doesn't matter. And yes, Uhura is shopping for souvenirs. So again, it sets it up that this space station has the expectation to be selling souvenirs. So it's not out of line for the bartender to be selling stuff.
Right. When I heard that they were shopping, I was like, that's odd.
Yeah, a little bit. On a Deep Space Federation outpost, but whatever.
So as the bartender and Cyrano are chatting, Cyrano pulls out this like fuzzy ball, and Uhura's like, oh, what is that? And she like picks it up, and it's like trills, and oh my gosh, it's a Tribble.
Yes, our first Tribble.
And since the bartender is like, I don't know. And then the two are like going back and forth on how many they can sell, because Uhura's like, oh, I'll keep this one. And so the bartender also learns, well, that pretty lady's going to show off her Tribble, and you can sell all of these that I have.
Yeah, because he's got more of them. This is also of note, the scene, and I didn't remember this part when I watched it again, but there's an important clue foreshadowing where the Tribble is left unattended on the counter.
Yes.
And it slowly makes its way over to the little gold bag sample of wheat seeds or wheat.
Yes, Chekhov left it on the table.
And the Tribble eats it, which, an interesting side theory. Does that mean then that gives the Tribble a taste for the wheat and it somehow communicates that to the rest of the Tribbles? Who knows? But I think that's diving too deep into it. In the end, I think it's just supposed to foreshadow to the viewers the problem that we're going to have with the Tribbles and the wheat, and the fact that the Tribbles eat the wheat. And that's all they want to do, is eat and reproduce.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Oh, he ate the wheat, and now he's going to reproduce. I didn't tie it to the wheat in the compartment, but I can see your point also.
Yeah. And so the scene kind of ends with the Cyrano Jones and the bartender debating back and forth, where the bartender's like, well, maybe I'll buy them because maybe I can sell them. And Cyrano is like using Uhura as an example of, see, this lady obviously would want to buy one. But then in the end, Cyrano says, well, it's still mine because I haven't agreed to sell it. So I'm giving it to the lady.
Yes.
And then if you want to buy more, bartender, you can. Side tangent. Cyrano Jones is a character. This is our first scene with him. Fantastic jacket, by the way.
Yes, I love it.
The fact that he can like pull back different folds of the jacket and reveal pockets and everything is very fitting.
It's like those jackets in the movies where they open them up and it's like all these watches.
Yes.
Yes. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
And Cyrano Jones is a fine character that fits the role of what we need for this. Question. Wouldn't it be better if Harry Mudd played the role of Cyrano Jones?
I agree. And I think that's why the actor they have playing this part looks a lot like Harry Mudd.
Yes, because it's so similar.
Yes.
I think the only reason that I would say, fine, don't use Harry Mudd, is Cyrano Jones is not inherently a criminal. He's just someone who wants to sell things. Harry Mudd is definitely a criminal that does the same thing, but doesn't care if he's breaking the law. And I don't know that Cyrano Jones necessarily would be against breaking the law if profit came about it, but I don't think he seeks out those opportunities as much as Harry Mudd does. But I like to imagine the episode as if Harry Mudd was the dealer of the Tribbles. I just think that would have been fun for the character.
Well, sadly, the actor died.
Not till later.
Oh, then that's great. Then maybe they want 2 varieties.
Probably.
So this character comes back?
No, I don't think Cyrano Jones comes back in any other capacity for the original series. We do see him in the animated series, and we're now that we've seen Trouble with Tribbles, we'll go back. We had to skip over the animated series cartoon with the Tribbles, but yeah, we don't see Cyrano Jones again.
Okay. Well, he does a great job dancing through this episode. So we're back on Enterprise, though, and Kirk receives like a video message, like a FaceTime from the Starfleet Admiral Fitzpatrick. And he's like, you are going to keep the grain and this project safe. It is now like your duty.
Yeah. It's like Nils went over Kirk's head double, because he's already telling Kirk, I outrank you in this area. I'm in charge. I'm your boss. You will do this. Kirk pushed back and kind of defied it, kind of found whatever gray area loopholes he could. And so then, Nils contacted this admiral, Kirk's direct boss, no gray area loopholes to exploit, and told to tell Kirk, no, you need to do what Nils says. Nils is in fact your boss, putting Kirk in his place.
Like when mom says no, but dad says yes.
Yeah. And fantastic. I think that example is needed occasionally.
Yes.
In any circumstance in Star Trek, sometimes captains need to be put in their place a little bit. It leads to more interesting stories.
And Uhura is reporting to Kirk while he's like on FaceTime that the Klingon warships are nearing the planet. So we need to also be alert. And so Uhura calls Red Alert. So we're on Red Alert, and then Mr. Lurie calls Uhura and tells him that the Klingons are not attacking. They're just here in my office.
Yeah, they're already here.
So Kirk quickly hangs up with the Admiral and beams down. Like, I'll be right there. So we're in Mr. Lurie's office now, and we meet Captain Loloth.
There we go.
And so since the Enterprise has shore leave, he wants to have shore leave rights also. He's the captain of the Klingons.
Correct. And cites the original treaty that also governs this whole colony race, outpost race for Sherman's planet. So, hey, Federation, if you're going to back us into the corner and get us to give up our rights and claim over Sherman's planet by developing this colony on it according to the treaty, you also have to respect the part of the treaty that says we have shore leave rights and we can have our men come onto this deep space station and enjoy a little R&R.
And Mr. Lurie is like scared. He doesn't want the Klingons and Enterprise on his station at the same time.
Right.
I think he's afraid of like fights.
Foreshadowing.
So Kirk calms him down though, and he does agree with Captain Koloth that they can share shore leave, but only 12 of your Klingons can come at a time. So, and Kirk will also bring another security guard just to, keep everything happy. And then Koloth reminds Kirk that we will be peaceful. ...
Yeah. Almost in a threatening tone.
And I really do like how they have them looking here. Like, I do see variation in how they're looking.
Yeah.
But that's just me, because I noticed the tiny things.
Yeah. Even though the overall makeup idea is the same with the arched eyebrows, the goatee facial hair.
Everything is very sharp.
Yes. But there is a difference between Captain Koloth himself and then his subordinate Korax. There is definitely a distinction where they don't look identical,
Correct.
unlike Vulcans.
So then we pop back to the Enterprise. We do a lot of popping around.
Right.
And so Scotty is, I love Scotty. His shore leave, he's just reading his technical journals. He's happy. He has everything he's just enjoying his day, reading his journals. And I find that so endearing. And then Uhura is like playing show and tell with her Tribble and the Tribble babies it had.
Right. So there's probably now at this point a dozen Tribbles,
if not more,
on the table.
And they're all so cute. And they reminded me of when we had cavies, which are also called guinea pigs, because they are born ready to go, like born and then poof, we're full grown.
Yes.
And then they have that beautiful little trilling sound, and it calms a human. And Spock even is holding one, and he's like, I can see how this can calm a human. And there's like, you're half human. Just admit you like the Tribble.
Right. And then Spock is definitely like, oh wait, what? No, I'm not affected by this and all this stuff. So Tribble lore, it's hinted at that yes, it may seem like this is just a calming sound, and as humans we like small furry things, but if you dig a little deeper into Tribbles, it's actually more along the lines of, and it is actually in a small way hypnotizing the humans. It's not just oh look, it's a cute thing and it makes a cute noise. The noise is actually having an effect on the humans in a small way.
I can see that. I mean, and McCoy takes one. I mean, not for a pet. This is for research. And he wants to know, like, why is it multiplying so fast? Because all they do is literally a ball of fluff. Like, you don't know where the head is. You don't know where the back is. It's just adorable.
Yep.
And then now we have Barris, who is Nils. He's contacting Kirk, and he's like, you need to remove these Klingons. They do not need to be here. And my grain is in jeopardy.
Right. Because now what he feared and called the Enterprise therefore without any evidence to the contrary now is coming true. The Klingons are in fact now there.
Yes.
And Kirk has got a little bit of security on the grain, but Nils is pretty much demanding, I want more security. I want you as the captain to kick them off and so forth. And it's almost like Kirk doesn't want to kick the Klingons off the station, not so much because he thinks Nils is having irrational fears, but no, I just want to stick it to you and I want to make your life miserable. So I encourage the Klingons to be here if it makes you unhappy.
Exactly. And then technically there are 3 security guards there, not just 2.
Yeah, they've added one.
And Kirk also has a really bad headache. He just needs a hold of Tribble, but he doesn't. So he goes to sickbay and he wants McCoy to give him some medicine. And McCoy's singular Tribble that he took for research is now overloading the cylinder that he put it in.
Right.
Like 5 minutes.
Yeah, so we've got a couple dozen Tribbles now in sickbay in this cylinder.
And he has figured out that their metabolism assists in reproduction.
That's all these things are geared toward, is to
eat and reproduce.
That's it. That's all they do.
And then he even makes a joke. What does a Tribble make? And then he's like, a lot of babies that are hungry or something like that. So he made it funnier. See, all my jokes fall flat.
There you go. Way to go, female Chekhov.
So we're in the transport area, and Kirk is sending another round of security officers to the planet. And Scotty is really nervous. He doesn't want to go. I don't really know why. Is he afraid of the Klingons?
No, I think Scotty just doesn't want conflict. I don't think he's afraid of it, but I don't think he wants to be in this position where I think everyone knows this is going to boil over and there's going to be some kind of confrontation. And yes, he was sent over under directions directly from Kirk to prevent any trouble.
But to have fun.
And I don't think Scotty wants to be in that position. A, he just wants to stay in his quarters and read his tech manuals. He's fine with that. But B, he really doesn't want to be in the position where he has to be peacemaker. He doesn't like the Klingons any more than anyone else.
Right.
And he doesn't want to have to be the one to break up any fights. He doesn't want to have to be anyone to stop any conflict. I don't think he wants to be in the middle of it. And that's why. It's not so much he's afraid. It's just, I'd rather not be in this position of leadership. I'd rather just deal with the mechanical journals.
That is true, because down there he'd be like one of the commanding officers, and because he usually is in charge of Enterprise when everyone's gone.
Right.
Oh.
Fourth in command.
Yeah.
But for the sake of time, we have our next barroom scene. There's another scene with Cyrano Jones trying to sell more Tribbles to the bartender.
And when a Klingon gets nearby, the Tribble like freaks out.
Yes,
He's like hissing.
This is going to be the first introduction where we see that the Tribbles do not like the Klingons. They don't make the little purring noise. They very much just scream and violently shake. The Klingons don't like the Tribbles either.
No.
And I don't necessarily think it's from a history of knowing what the Tribbles are. I think everyone is just learning what a Tribble is for the first time in this moment.
Well, they're kind of creepy. They have no face.
And I think the Klingons are very much just looking at it like, no, this is disgusting. This is a parasite. This is a vermin. We want nothing to do with it. And we don't like the fact that it gets all in our face and yells at us when we get too close. But this is where we learn that, yes, the Tribbles have that reaction. We see Cyrano try to sell more Tribbles to the bartender. There is the funny moment where the bartender is saying, I don't need any more. And then he's just pulling out almost a dozen Tribble. And we literally just watch him, each hand alternating.
He's like, I have enough already.
Pulling Tribbles from out behind the bar. And everyone seems, I mean, there's more Tribbles in the bar, and it's definitely becoming a point where everyone's noticing all these Tribbles. I don't know why the bartender gag, pulling Tribbles out from behind the bar, works, but it does. It doesn't get old. It's probably a good 10-second gag, but it works.
Well, it also works because he does it in the background while Koloth is talking smack about Kirk.
Yeah, and so we do get kind of a little bit of a distraction. The bartender has a couple great moments where he's just in the background as a gag. But yeah, Korax, not Koloth, it's Korax.
Oops.
All Klingons look alike to Jaci. Korax, the second in command,
yes,
or at least underling to Koloth, definitely is like, I'm going to start some trouble with the humans.
Yeah, like he's talking, how much picking can I do until somebody physically does something back?
Right. And then so he's basically insulting the humans. He insults Kirk. Chekhov keeps trying to stand up to start something. Scotty keeps setting him back down, going, we're better than that. We can ignore that. We can put up with it. But then Korax commits the grave sin in front of Scotty by insulting the Enterprise and calling it a garbage scow. And that's when Scotty can't take any more.
He's like, I'm done.
That's his line. So Scotty gets up and punches Korax, which sets off
a beautiful fight.
I think the top of the episode is the bar fight.
And while everyone is fighting, Cyrano dances his way, literally, like twirling around out of the room.
Yeah. And
perfect.
I think it works because it's got this huge setup. And I think having Cyrano in the background, helping himself behind the bar, pouring the drinks, trying the drinks, and his little flamboyant, over-exaggerated movements and everything, those scenes break up the shots of the fighting and the tossing and the throwing of people across tables and so forth. And I think that's why it works, because it's both coming together. And so no one really has the upper hand. It's definitely scene by scene. Sometimes the Federation humans are getting one over on the Klingons. There's other times where the Klingons are tossing the humans around. But ultimately, as we track Cyrano going behind the bar, getting his drinks, 2 of them, coming back around the bar, and then he goes to leave with his free drinks.
Mm-hmm.
And in and amongst all that, the bartender, of course, is left. And then as Cyrano reaches the door, the bartender comes back with Starfleet security personnel.
Yes.
Takes the drink away from Cyrano as a final gag to the whole scene to wrap it all up to go to the commercial break to start Act 3.
I do want to throw in that the female servers that we don't ever meet, they have adorable costumes and with little wings on. It's so cute. They have like little jumpers with wings on the back.
Did not notice that at all.
There's 2 of them.
There's 2 of them?
There's pink and a green one.
That makes sense. So.
It's so cute. So, hi. Just saying hi to them. But anyways, so because everybody could not hold their opinions to themselves or sit on their hands, Kirk has canceled shore leave for both Klingons and the Enterprise.
Correct. So I think Kirk is happy that this fight broke out.
But he can't show it.
He can't show it, but it gives him the excuse to do the smart thing and keep the Klingons off the station away from the wheat without acquiescing to Nils
Yes.
that this is the right thing to do.
He has everyone lined up like in a row and he wants to know who threw the first punch. And of course, no one's going to answer. And then he sends them to their quarters. You know, you're grounded. But Scotty has to be held back. And he does explain he did not throw the first punch, but he listed all the insults that was said. And Kirk was like, just go to your quarters.
Yeah.
Because, yes, we don't want Enterprise to be a garbage scow either. But, you know, you are Scotty, so go back to your quarters.
Yeah. And again, fantastic dialogue. It shouldn't work, or it seems like it wouldn't work on paper, because you're literally just watching Scotty repeat all of these insults that we just had to watch.
And him getting fired up.
Yeah, but we already know he's literally reiterating everything that was said, and we've already seen it as a viewer. But the delivery and the dialogue back and forth, even broken up with the little line of Scotty going, "Is this off the record?" and Kirk going, "No, this ain't off the record. What the hell's going on?" It again just works, even though all we're doing is watching them regurgitate and re-say what we've already watched on screen.
And going to his quarters, he probably skipped because he was able to go back to his technical journals.
Yeah, it's not really a punishment.
So we're in sick bay, and Spock and McCoy are standing behind a mountain of tribbles, like a mountain. And Spock is like, there is no practical use for them. Like, why are they, what's happening? But McCoy, of course, pushes back that humans like small, fluffy things, and they make a lovely sound.
Right.
Like, let your human side out, Spock.
Yeah. And I think this is the first moment I've got in my notes where I just kind of go, everyone's really slow on the uptake to figure out that these tribbles are a problem.
I think they're just, well, you said that they had like a hypnotizing thing.
Ooh, that's an interesting theory.
They're just making a beautiful sound, but looking at the show that you have brought up, they're eating something.
I literally...
in the dish that Spock is holding.
Yeah, so we're looking at a still from the scene in sickbay with McCoy and Spock, and they're having the conversation about there's no redeeming characteristics to these tribbles. They just need a little bit of food, and then they reproduce, and so forth. Yeah, you got to feed the tribbles, Jackie. You can't starve them to death. They're not like kids. You got to feed them every day.
Well, I'm just saying, there's only like 3 in there, and they have a lot of food.
Yeah, I'm kidding for anyone listening. You do have to feed kids every day, but I think that's an interesting theory that you have, that they make this purring noise as a way to distract other life forms to their reproducing until it's too late, quote unquote, which would make them kind of parasitic slightly...
That would be their defense mechanism.
Yeah, it's their defense mechanism to get away, but if it also provides the, hey, we're going to distract you until it's virtually impossible, if not extremely difficult, to cull our numbers, that'd be an interesting headcanon. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I like it.
Look at me bringing up all the things.
So that's why it takes so long for everyone to recognize that it's a problem, is because they're literally, to a small degree, hypnotized by their little purring noise.
But the big ones, I can do without them. They kind of look ugly.
The bigger ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like the size of a football.
Yeah.
Well, I just want the little tiny cute ones.
I think they grow up to be the football size ones.
Yes, that's the one you have.
Yeah. I have two prop tribbles. You smack them, they make the little purring noise. I got them both. One's gray,
You
one's
shake them,
light
you
brown.
don't smack them.
You have to smack them to make them make the noise. But I got them both at the Star Trek experience at the Las Vegas Hilton many years ago when it was open. The gray one I can see. I think the brown one fell behind this set of shelves over here.
It's reproducing.
We're going to pull the shelf away and I'm going to find 100 of these little prop tribbles.
So on the bridge, Kirk does have to be a captain. So he goes to take his seat and, oh my gosh, he almost sat on a tribble. It like squeaked and he's like, why are there tribbles all over my bridge? Because literally, you look on the bridge, everyone has tribbles. They're on the tops of machines. They're in cabinets. Wherever there's a platform, there are tribbles.
Yep. There's the one that is making the little crawling motion along the hand railing as well.
And so he calls McCoy down and he's like, what's happening here? So McCoy arrives and he's like, oh, we'll be hip deep soon.
Yeah, again, it's kind of like everyone still is slow on this uptake that this is a problem. I mean, we're not exaggerating. If you haven't watched the episode lately, you should, but they're everywhere. There's not a dozen. There's probably close to 40 tribbles in this one scene.
Like an Easter egg hunt, but for tribbles.
Yeah, we'll get to that. They're literally on every flat surface, every console, every handrail. And yeah, everyone is still kind of just making these jokes. Even Kirk, who's the one who's going, this is kind of a problem. It's a problem of inconvenience. It's not a problem of urgency.
Yet. Because Uhura fights for them because they give love. And Cyrano Jones said this is the only thing you can buy that gives you love.
That's it. So the scene on the bridge ultimately ends, though, with Kirk, again, annoyed, not panicking, saying, I want all these tribbles off the bridge.
Yes, and then we have to call down to the space station because he wants to talk to Cyrano.
We'll get there. By the end of the episode, Jaci will know the character's name. So we jump to a quick little scene on the K7 space station where we're kind of questioning, kind of yelling at Cyrano Jones for bringing these tribbles, basically going, Cyrano saying, I've done nothing wrong. It's not illegal to trade in exotic pets. And everyone else kind of pushing back against him a little bit, going, it is illegal if it is dangerous pets. And he's saying they're not dangerous. They can't hurt you. They don't even have teeth, blah, blah, blah. And again, we're still slow on the uptake to realize these things are exponentially reproducing. They're going to be a problem. And maybe not intentional, but Cyrano definitely has introduced a hazard to this whole situation.
Yes. And then during this interrogation, Nils comes in and he thinks Cyrano is a Klingon agent after his grain.
Which I think we all as viewers know that this is a baseless claim because Tribbles don't like Klingons. The Tribbles don't care about Cyrano any more than anyone else. So it's definitely just I don't even know if it's foreshadowing for what comes later. I think it's just to show that Nils is the only one taking this problem seriously. But we also kind of dismiss Nils because he's just a whiny guy.
Yes, he thinks there's a mole, but no one believes him.
Yeah, so maybe it is foreshadowing to what comes next.
And so then we pop back to the Enterprise, though, and Kirk and Spock are grabbing their lunch, their breakfast, a meal.
In the mess hall, and everywhere there are Tribbles.
I mean, Scotty has like 12 of them in his hand.
Yeah, when he comes in. But they're on the table. They're stuck to the wall.
Yes.
They're on the floor where they're literally having to like step over them and dance around them. And when they get their food out of the replicators, the Tribbles are in the food. One is in Captain Kirk's coffee cup, which used to be, I don't know if you can still buy it, but that used to be a thing you could buy as a souvenir. You could buy that coffee cup and it had a little Tribble in it.
Oh, it's so cute.
I think that was sold not through Paramount or NBC. I think that's a Roddenberry estate toy that you can buy.
And it's also in his chicken sandwich. And I think this is where Kirk is like, we have too many.
I have it in my notes as well. This is 37 minutes and 30 seconds into the episode where finally Kirk is not just annoyed, but he's actually looking through the problem saying, wait a minute, they're literally in the food replicators. We're literally tripping over them. And he starts asking questions like, how did this happen? I thought they were contained. They got into the air vents. What's going on? And so this is also the moment in the scene where they have the realization these things do nothing but reproduce and eat. And they're on the space station and they have all that wheat. So then we have to race over to the space station.
So Niels and Kirk go to those compartments and the doors are stuck. The first one that he tries to open, but he's able to open like an overhead bin. And when he finally opens it, no grain falls out, but like 100,000 Tribbles.
Yes.
1 million.
Yeah. Literally.
All sizes.
Literally to the point where it's covering Kirk. And
like he is like in a mount, like a pile, like a leaf pile.
Yeah, and he has to like poke his head up. He has to kind of crawl out of it, and that's where he's going to stay for the rest of the scene. And they're coming to the realization of this is a problem. The Tribbles have now gored themselves on all of the wheat that was supposed to go to the colony on Sherman's planet.
This is also McCoy is like, oh, well, if we stop feeding them, they'll stop reproducing. And this is when we realize, because now dead Tribbles are falling out of the bin onto Kirk's head.
Yeah, some of the Tribbles are dead. We don't know that the ones coming out of them are dead, but yeah, they come to the realization that some of the Tribbles are dead. They quickly determine that it's because the grain has been poisoned.
Yes.
And they've been ingesting all this poisonous wheat. But yes, also throughout this entire scene, as Kirk is buried under this mound of Tribbles, there are just single Tribbles continuing to fall out of this overhead bin onto the pile and onto Kirk's head. So again, continuing that comedic moment throughout. But now we have to figure out how the wheat got poisoned and so forth. So we extract Kirk from the giant pile of Tribbles, and Kirk assembles all relevant parties into Lurie's office to discuss the matters. We've got like Lurie, we've got the 2 Klingons, we've got Starfleet officers and so forth. And Koloth is pretty much trying to use the situation to his advantage.
Yes.
By saying, you guys violated the treaty by denying us shore leave. We're going to complain to all of our bosses, thinking that this is going to get him accolades because if you violated the treaty, then heavily suggesting that the Klingon Empire is going to say the only way that we'll forgive this transgression is if you give us Sherman's planet and so forth. But yes, ultimately, the resolution to this whole episode is again the Tribbles come to the rescue. McCoy enters the office.
Yes, because he's learned what exactly it was that poisoned the wheat. But he doesn't tell us.
No, I mean, he just says it's a virus, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, it's a very quick explanation. And again, it works. He says it's a virus that basically prevents nutrients from eating things to being absorbed into the body. So even though you're eating things and digesting it, you're not getting any nutrients from it, so you die. Tribbles with an extremely fast metabolism would need a lot of nutrients to stay alive, and so forth. So in the end, a callback to the Tribbles not liking the Klingons, we get an exaggerated moment where Kirk has his little courtroom aha, and he holds the Tribbles up to the Klingons, and they go.
What was that?
And then he walks it over to.
Because we're trying to find the double agent.
Basically, it comes down to how did the wheat get poisoned? It had to be the Klingons, but we've been watching the Klingons the whole time they're here, so there's no way that they could have poisoned the wheat since they've gotten here. Go back even further. Darwin, the snot-nosed, butt-kissing little assistant to Nils, is a Klingon double agent who has been surgically modified to look human.
Yes, because the Tribbles go crazy, and then McCoy even justifies because they're animals, they could be wrong, or I think they're animals. So McCoy even does his little scan, and he's like, "Oh, you are a Klingon."
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
So Darwin is arrested and taken away. This very much puts the Klingons on the defensive, where they're not going to admit knowledge of the double agent and the wheat poisoning scheme, but they no longer have a leg to stand on to make any arguments. It's basically, we're just going to tuck our tails between our legs and we're going to go away because our plot was exposed. And we get the wrap up to the episode. We have the confrontation with Cyrano Jones back in the bar. We get the very amusing shot of the bartender with his face poking out of the mountain of Tribbles on the bar tabletop.
Yes, because they're, discussing with Jones, you can either go to jail
for distributing dangerous creatures,
or you could pick up every Tribble on this spaceship, this deep spaceship. And so it's either going to be, because Spock calculated it, 20 years for the first charge, or 17 to pick up every Tribble.
Right. And I think this is the scene that really cements in my brain that I really wish it was Mud in the episode, because this is the way that we've dealt with Mud in all of the other instances we've had, where we basically are like, we're not really going to let you get away with it, dude.
But you do have a punishment.
But you do have a punishment, but it's not necessarily going to be strict jail time, punishment, charges, and so forth. It's no, you got to kind of clean up your own mess. So I again just think it would have been fun. So we get the little amusing moment where we see him walking around the bar, starting to pick up Tribbles and stuff them in his pockets. I don't really know what the plan is to get rid of them at that point. I think we're all asking that. The bartender has not moved from his spot in the mountain of Tribbles with his face poking out.
He's just watching.
We're going to do a quick ending to the episode, and you'll see why in a little bit, but we're back on the Enterprise. All the Tribbles are gone. There's this little back and forth of Kirk going, where are all the Tribbles? And everyone kind of goes, well, it was so-and-so's idea. And then that person goes, well, I mean, it was really so-and-so. Ultimately, we find out all the officers conspired and they beamed all the Tribbles off the Enterprise onto the Klingon ship or ships as they were departing. And everyone kind of laughs at that whole thing. We get the funny ending line from Scotty going, yeah, we put them on the Klingon ship where there'll be no Tribble at all instead of trouble. Ha ha ha. Everyone has a good laugh about this.
And Sherman's planet gets real green just a few weeks later.
Yes. And so that everything works out the way it's supposed to.
Yay!
And that's going to be the episode. Roll credits.
We need more Tribbles, but confined.
Yes. Jackie, what did you think? What are your final thoughts about season 2, episode 15, The Trouble with Tribbles?
I loved it. I just loved it. I think it was great. I think Spock was fine because, he's showcased in a lot of episodes. So I think this gave a chance for other people to have Uhura. She wants love. And I think that's what made everything all the glue totally together. Because this season seems to be focused on love a lot.
Yeah, we've had a couple episodes that have focused on love. And yeah, it is a good episode in that sense too, because it does showcase other characters in an equal manner. It's not an episode that focuses solely on Kirk. It's not an episode that focuses solely on Spock, which we get a lot of.
Yes.
And it's not an episode that is kind of a side episode that focuses on any one other side character. It's an episode where they all get to equally share a part in the episode, which I think is another reason why it works out so well.
And normally I would ask where Sulu was, but I think it was okay without him.
Yeah, so the reason why Sulu isn't in this episode, and he's not in a lot of episodes in this time period, is the actor George Takei is in this time filming a movie.
Ooh, fancy.
And so he's not available, even though he's still a crew to the show and in the credits and so forth. And he comes back, obviously.
Yes.
But the show released him or allowed him to go off and do this movie project without kicking him off the show.
Oh, that's really neat.
Yeah. My final thoughts to the episode, again, it's a fun episode. I think it's obviously the best episode of the season. It's the unofficial mascot to the podcast, so how can we not like it?
Exactly.
But when you break it all down, again, so many things work in the episode. The dialogue, the plot points coming together, the fact that it is goofy without being corny. Again, my only two complaints, I mean, even to the point where, side note, there's a moment where we didn't touch on it, but Kirk is called to the bridge, and from wherever he is, sick bay, his quarters, wherever, and there's actual shots that serve no other purpose except to show him and I think Spock traversing from where they are up to the bridge. There's no dialogue, there's no conversation, nothing happens to them in the meantime, but this little filler of being able to show them traversing across the sets, in that moment I just go, yeah, we need that. And we get that in later series, but it just adds to the immersion of the episode, and the fact that they included it I really enjoyed. Ultimately, it's a great episode. Why is it not a perfect episode? The very weak opening with Chekhov and his little performance review, and the fact that it's not Harry Mudd. That's a personal bias and a very small critique to the episode. It's awesome. So ultimately, this is where we reveal our bonus star note topic to what we're going to talk about over on our Patreon, patreon.com/Treks and Tangents. When you're done listening to this episode, pop over there and take a listen. It's free to everyone who follows the Patreon. This week's Star Note topic is where we do a deeper dive is going to be, what do we think happened to the Tribbles that got beamed onto the Klingon spaceship?
They got glitter.
We'll cover it more over at that bonus Star Note episode. But Jackie, wrap up your final thoughts. What is your favorite quote from the episode?
So I had a hard time picking one. So I just chose Chekhov's poor flat joke that he tried so hard, and I felt it in my soul. Like he said, 1 parsec, sir, close enough to smell them. And then Spock, that is illogical, ensign. Odors cannot travel through the vacuum of space. And then Chekhov's like, I was making a little joke, sir. And then Spock again, extremely little, ensign.
Okay.
Aww.
Interesting to choose a topic or a quote from the opening scene, the weakest part of the episode. That
I just felt Chekhov in that moment because, I mean, I already failed in my joke earlier.
Okay. Well, I fully thought that you were going to choose the quote of Spock when he's first petting the Tribble and tries to...
That was my second one.
Okay. So my quote is going to be, it's the interaction between Dr. McCoy and Spock in sickbay when they're seeing the huge multiplication of the Tribbles. And Dr. McCoy says, Spock, I don't know too much about these little Tribbles yet, but there's one thing that I have discovered. I like them better than I like you. And again, maybe that just ties into what we kind of were talking about, the fact that this is an episode that doesn't focus on any one particular character. It means we get a lot more of these interactions between the characters and can see the give and the take and so forth. And Spock and McCoy, their back and forth, they're always just fun, I think.
Yes, and I think that their relationship is going to keep growing because of this very episode. These Tribbles bring friends together.
There we go. So let's dive into our Tribble tidbits, or our interesting facts to the episode. And why do we call them Tribble tidbits, Jackie?
Because obviously they're amazing.
Because now that you've seen the episode, maybe it makes more sense. Tribbles can be both fun, cute, adorable, but also a problem, annoying.
Yes, like a rodent.
Like facts can be. So, first airing December 29th, 1967. The Tribble avalanche scene at the end of Act 3 and start of Act 4 took 8 takes total to do. The little avalanche.
To make sure all of them fell perfectly?
Yeah, just to get the take right and everything. The Tribbles that were popping out throughout that rest of that scene, of course, were being hand tossed by crew members on. The crew members were unable to hear the director yell cut or action, or hear any of the dialogue of the actors.
So they were just throwing Tribbles
at random intervals. They were not scripted at any point. It was just, they were instructed, you have these extra props, periodically throw them out and just keep doing it until someone comes into the compartment where you're at and tells you to stop.
I love that.
That's why during the scene, when you can tell that Shatner is almost breaking character because he doesn't know when they're coming, and I don't really think that they could really fully see where they were throwing them and so forth. So I think it's fun to, if you go back and watch Shatner's expression throughout the scene, there's a couple moments where he like smiles and he kind of like looks back up into the compartment and he's just like, what are we doing?
Well, that seems realistic also. Like, I just thought it was a great shot. Like, they did a great job. But now that it was just randomly thrown, I cannot stop laughing.
Yeah. The giant pile that he was under also was accomplished. It's not an entire pile of Tribbles. It is a kind of a wire mesh that is keeping the shape, and then there's like a layer or two of Tribbles piled up around the outside of it, and then he kind of crawls out the top, but he's not fully encased. He's in a little pocket. The Tribble models that were mobile or had movement to them, they did that by taking a specific toy dog that had a similar thing where it was mobile. And
I bet you I had that dog.
Maybe. And they shoved the mechanism up inside of a Tribble prop and let it go. But it was so loud when it was moving that all the audio from any of those scenes, any of the dialogue had to be redubbed and re-recorded and played over because it was just too loud to have the Tribble moving and not pick up that on the microphone. Any guess to what the sounds were that the Tribbles made, how they accomplished that?
I mean, I would say just a simple trill. I mean, Uhura's beautiful voice can make it.
So the little purring noise are actually just recorded doves.
Oh, doves?
Yeah.
That makes complete sense.
And then
the bird.
Yeah, and then the screeching that they make are recordings of owls and air escaping balloons.
Oh, that all makes complete sense. And yes, the dove is super calming.
Yes. Okay. About how many of the Tribble props were made for the episode?
250.
500 Tribbles were made for the episode. And yes, they were so numerous and they were being placed all over the sets that it took that for months after the shooting of this episode.
They kept finding them?
They were finding them in little nooks and corners, and as they were moving sets around and so forth, they would find more back behind panels. So yeah, it took like a couple months before they found. I don't know of any instance of episodes being filmed later that you can go back and see a Tribble in the background. That would be totally funny as an Easter egg, but oh well.
I could see it also being like a joke, like a cast member like keeping some, and then like the ducks now, like they just like plop it in someplace and ha ha ha.
Yeah. So this is also the first instance on American television because McCoy and other people kept referring to the Tribbles as being born pregnant or they're being pregnant and so forth.
Yes.
It is the first time that the word pregnant is used on American television instead of just expecting.
Wow.
At least according to the fact that I found.
That's interesting. Well, because it's, we assume it's an animal. So, yeah, pregnant would be
Yeah, I mean, it's
the
just
word that we'd use.
network TV censors also. Again, this is the late 60s. You couldn't show belly buttons. That was a big thing. Female belly buttons and so forth. But yeah, I think if
But
you...
we can show all the leg we want.
I guess so.
Oh, we have problems.
If you go back and I think look at the other episodes, I mean, even Friday's Child, they don't refer to her as pregnant. They just refer to her as expecting or with child.
Yeah.
I think they avoid the word pregnant. I think that's a pretty accurate fact. Anyway, comment if I'm wrong. If you watch during the bar fight, tables get broken, but none of the chairs get broken. No one picks up a chair and breaks it across another character. None of them get thrown. They just get pushed out of the way. That's because the tables were owned by the studio, but all the chairs were rented from a third-party company. And the studio would have had to buy the chairs if they were broken.
Well, you can't put the chair in the way of Mr. Jones' dance way.
No.
You know?
So, if you... The actor who played Captain Koloth, again, Jaci thinks all Klingons look alike, was played by William Campbell, who also played Trelane from The Squire of Gothos.
That's awesome.
Same guy. The writer of this episode, David Gerrold, used this and considered the Tribbles and that whole thing as a metaphor for the rabbit population explosion in Australia.
Oh, yes. And, then they used a wheat-like virus to control it. And now it's in America. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a deeper dive on that someday.
We don't want to. It's a really bad disease.
And then I realized my last Tribble tidbit is actually just the topic of our bonus Star Note episode. So that's going to be all of your Tribble tidbits. There's more. Again, always go online if you want more fun facts to the episode. But if there's one I missed, leave it in the comment. Let us know. But let's jump into our episode ranking, where we're going to pretend the episode is a member of our fictitious starship crew, and we're going to assign a Starfleet rank to the episode. A higher rank not only means we were more entertained by the episode, but we find the episode a more valuable member of our crew. And a lower rank means, of course, the opposite. We weren't as entertained by the episode, and we find the episode to be a more disposable member of our crew. Our ranking system starts at the bottom with Ensign, Lieutenant, Junior Grade, and Lieutenant, which we can have an unlimited number of crew members or episodes at that rank. And then we have our higher officers, Lieutenant Commander, 7. Commanders, we can have 5. We can have 1 Captain and 1 Admiral to the season. And we can promote, demote episodes as we need to or choose to. But if none of that makes any sense, we post a graphical representation over at the Patreon, patreon.com/Treks and Tangents. Again, free for everyone to view the Wednesday after the episode goes live. We also have last season's rankings on there as well. But go check it out. You can see where all the episodes are ranked as of this episode and follow along.
And see all of the, Tetris areas we made.
Jaci always refers to it as Tetris. If you look at it, Jaci tends to rank a lot of episodes lower than I do. Mine are more evenly balanced across our rankings. But Jaci, for your starship this season, the USS Luminara, what rank do you assign this episode?
Admiral.
No surprise there. The top rank for the season, the perfect episode, 10 plus out of 10. But Jaci, I'm sure we all know why. Give us a quick explanation to why this rank.
Well, because I love the Tribbles, and I love that the entire cast got to play with them, except Zulu, but he was off making a movie. So, I mean... Yeah,
again, no surprise that Jaci's going to rank it as the Admiral.
I mean, they could have had some more glitter. I mean, maybe that's my nick.
Okay. And no surprise for me for the USS Comet this season. I already have my Admiral for the season. It's the Mirror episode. Yes. It's still my favorite. It's not going to change. I'm not going to demote that. But I don't have a captain. And again, this is going to be the best episode of the season. So it is going to be a captain for me. Again, It's Tribbles. It's probably, I would argue, top 3 of the most classic Star Trek original series episodes that you can have. Everyone knows what a Tribble is, whether you're a Star Trek diehard fan or just a casual watcher who knows Star Trek exists. How can you not give it a high rank? It's only going to be captained below Mirror Mirror because, again, Mirror Mirror and the Mirror universe are probably going to be more favorite episodes of mine. The Tribbles we don't get enough of.
Agreed.
There's, spoiler, there's no Tribble episode in The Next Generation.
Oh.
We do have the very famous Tribble episode for Deep Space Nine.
So the 500 Tribbles that they made are just sitting in the corner?
I have no idea where those Tribbles are. I don't know where those original props went to. I'm sure that they were in storage for a while. I'm sure that they were just taken home by cast and crew, probably sold in prop
Used
auctions.
as a wig, like Chekhov's hair had to be.
Maybe. But in any case, yeah, Captain is going to be my rank. And again, if none of that makes sense, go ahead and pop over to the Patreon on Wednesday, the day after this episode goes live. Check out all the rankings so far for the season. Again, patreon.com/Treks and Tangents. Over at IMDb, as our reference, Jackie, what do you think this episode ranks?
Because they're Tribbles, I'm going to say 9.
All right, pretty close. 8.7 out of 10
Oh.
is going to be the IMDb rank.
Just round up.
We'll be back next week to trek through another episode, but before we go, we'll give our turbo lift tease or elevator pitch to next week's plot. This is where I give Jackie the title of next week's episode, and Jackie, without any other information, will give her best guess to the plot of the episode. Jackie, next week's episode is going to be The Gamesters of Triskelion.
Well, obviously we're going to have like game players, and their world is with like a tri, and tri is usually 3. So maybe there are 3 planets connected together, and then we have to jump from each planet to be able to help them because they maybe gambled too hard.
All right. Tune in next week to see how accurate Jackie's prediction is. But if you want more show information, again, you can find and directly support our podcast on Patreon, patreon.com/Treks and Tangents. Again, we post our bonus Star Note episodes over at the Patreon, free for anyone who follows the Patreon. The graphical representation is on the Patreon for everyone. For those that want to support the Patreon and become crew members, we do a deeper dive into the animated series. Very soon we'll be revisiting the cartoon Tribble episode. And we also have all of our test episodes from when we were getting ready to launch the podcast, where we were working out the bugs, where we were watching. First it was Fringe, and then Fringe went off streaming, so we jumped into SG1.
And we learned a lot. Oh my gosh, I was so bad.
I still think they were worthy to post and entertaining. But anyway, yeah, go check it out. Again, patreon.com/Treks and Tangents. You can follow us on X, Treks_Tangents. We're on Instagram and Blue Sky at Treks and Tangents. Jackie assures us that she's going to be better at posting social media posts to those accounts.
I already have been. I've been posting from the state fair.
There we go. But in any case, Jackie, where can people find you and what are you up to?
So you can find me mostly on Instagram at Jaboom, JIBBOOM. I share a little bit of everything that makes up my life, including my hip replacement journey. I have the second one coming up. And then all the physical therapy, because on top of all that, I show the good and the bad side of CRPS, and of course, my passion for disability and service animal advocacy. And of course, I am a musician, so I have to throw in my music, tuba, flute, and piccolo. And then finally, I do enjoy dressing up and putting on makeup, so of course, I have a lot of selfies. So I will see you on Instagram.
All right. And for me, you can find me streaming a variety of video games over at twitch.tv/PiratePoundTown. I can be found on YouTube under the same handle, posting miscellaneous video game and pop culture content. I'm on YouTube as well at Pirate Treasure Hunting for hobby and collecting content. I'm socially on Blue Sky at Pirate Pound Town. And finally, the odd Instagram account out from everything else, Pineapple Cannibal, where I post whenever I think about it. Links to all social media can be found in the episode description. Thank you everyone for tuning into this episode. We hope you had fun like we did with our Tribble episode, and we will see you all next week.
With a Tribble in each hand.
End transmission.